What's up, everybody? It's your boy Chaos, and we have another special episode for you. If you thought that our little debate episode with Ignacio and David Sheldon from Wrestling Republic was hot, well, you ain't seen nothing yet. So yeah, for fellow fans of the Wrestling Republic show, or should I namely the Daily Show, you may have seen this this little clip, or this little spat between El Jefe Ben Allison and Clark Taylor of Wrestling Republic, and they were basically debating about the difference between a casual fan and hardcore fans, and obviously who's more popular between the more recent debut of Mercedes Moné and CM Punk. Well, this kind of obviously derailed from a comment that I said when it was like with Mercedes Moné has the star power of CM Punk, and then obviously it kind of just derailed over there. For those that haven't really seen this little snippet on the Daily Show, I got you covered. Check this out.
Writing comics and going away for 7 years, he tugged on every hardcore fan's heartstrings, and that's who showed up. That's who turned on the TV to watch CM Punk when he returned to AEW. It was not the it was not the casual fan.
It was the casual
not
fan.
the casual fan.
I know.
That is not the case.
I know.
That is not the case. That is not the case.
Casual. Super
How
casual.
could you be a casual fan and know about CM Punk if he was
because he was in the main event scene? He was.
What did he do during the 7 years to make himself famous?
When those people were.
What did he do in the 7 years away that made him more famous?
They're now adults. They don't watch wrestling anymore.
How many times has he main evented WrestleMania?
They hear he's back. They've missed him, so they go and watch it.
What did he do for 10 years or 7 years when he was away to make himself more famous? Nothing. It was the hardcore fan who loved CM Punk. It was the hardcore following who loved CM Punk that was excited to see him back, who showed up and showed out and watched and bought tickets. That's the truth. That's why they did it in his hometown, completely. Just like what they just did with Mercedes Moné, for sure. But it's a completely different level of fame and level of crowd.
I think maybe we disagree what a casual fan is. A casual fan isn't somebody who doesn't watch wrestling. A casual fan implies they watch wrestling casually.
Fictional character.
It's not a fictional character. I know, like genuinely, every close friend I have.
Don't know anybody who flips through channels and stops on wrestling, or just starts. Nobody flips through channels anymore. You're going to watch something specific these days anyway.
Well, they'll see it pop up on their recommended on YouTube. That's actually what happens. And that's actually a bigger deal now than it was when it was flipping through the channels.
Right? Telling you right now, the hardcore fans showed up for CM Punk. If we expected that from Mercedes,
they did, and so did
we were never going to get that.
They did, and so did the casuals.
We were never going to get that.
So as you can see, it got kind of heated between those two, and it was to the point where Clark Taylor actually put out an article regarding this, and he was all saying like the casual versus the hardcore wrestling fan debate is actually goofy, and Ben Allison wasn't aware of this, and he said he went out for a walk for a couple hours, only to come back and see this so plastered over his website, and yeah, he basically called for the table, and that is why we are here, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, I have none other than Ben Allison and Clark Taylor here at the table. How you doing today, guys?
I'm great. I'm ready to debate this because, as you said, I was out for a walk earlier. I come back and I see the most nonsensical wrestling article I've seen in my life plastered over my website.
I couldn't be more ready. I hadn't written in a long time. Letter from me to the world. I had to. Warmest personal regards as always, but this is ridiculous. What are we talking about here? First off, the reel edited in a way that makes me look goofy, on top of the fact that the entire hardcore casual thing is cliche and goofy as it is. There are hardcore followings for all kinds of entertainers in every single industry in the world. Yes. And there are casual followings for those as well. To categorize fans and try to pigeonhole this into something where that's going to affect attendance not the same way every time. It doesn't make sense. Like the CM Punk and Mercedes Moné, which was my original point, have two different types of following. CM Punk was a professional wrestler in the WWE with a hardcore fan base, diehard CM Punk fans. That's how he built his following. Mercedes Moné, similarly, hardcore following in the WWE, also Mandalorian, Hollywood crossover, all of the stuff that she's done outside of wrestling adds to her fan base. If you go to x.com, Twitter, the Bird app, whatever you'd like to call it, it's 2.5 million followers for Mercedes Moné, and it's 2.6 for CM Punk. Those are different types of fan bases. Yes, they're the same number. But my entire point is to expect Mercedes Moné, given the fan base that she has, the following that she has, if we're going off the 2.5 on Twitter, to blame her for the ratings and attendance at
which I never did.
Boss Time is you did absolutely say
I
say that she did not bring in as many as CM Punk.
That's
they have
what I said.
different
That's
types of fan
what
bases.
I said. I did not blame her
So
for any attendance issue. I
let's
just said
jump.
She wasn't as big of a draw as Punk.
Let's jump right into this, and let me ask you a few questions. Then let's flip this on the WWE. Let's get hypothetical, Ben.
Yep.
Which of the fans are the ones that The Rock's calling the Cody crybabies? Are those the casuals or the hardcore fans? And I understand The Rock did fill that arena over at SmackDown last week on Friday.
And the week before.
But who did he fill the arena with? Would you call that casuals or hardcores? Or Rock fans?
Casuals. So what The Rock did was he got involved. He returned back to the company. He got everybody, he got WWE trending on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And then a lot of people who haven't watched WWE for a long time was looking, why is it trending? And then the hardcore wrestling fans are doing this "We Want Cody" movement. They read some articles, whatever you want to call it. They haven't read many wrestling articles in years, whatever. They see this, and then they jump into it too.
The hardcores of it, or it's the casuals too?
No. The hardcores guided the casuals because the hardcores are always the loudest voice, and that's in no matter what. With anything, the hardcore voice is always louder. There's no doubt about that. And that's why it's important to not just look at cage match ratings, for example, which are ratings from hardcore fans. Those are important to look at too, but they're a factor. But you need to look at the bigger picture, because at the end of the day, it's the casual fans who bring in, the large audiences, the big attendances, and that's what CM Punk brought in when he was in AEW. He brought back so many people to wrestling. I mean, we've spoken to people.
Would you not call that a lapsed fan as opposed to a casual fan? Wouldn't that be a lapsed fan? That's different. That's a different category, because I thought casual fans do pay attention.
I think there's a huge overlap. I think that's a huge overlap between a casual and lapsed.
See,
I think CM
Punk is unique in the sense that he's got his own fan base. He has people that love CM Punk for CM Punk. But the idea that he, during his 7 years away, brought over UFC fans to fill the building,
which I never claimed
for AEW, isn't possible. He didn't do anything in the 7 years to build that audience further. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. This wasn't casual fans, though. This is hardcore CM Punk fans that had been waiting 7 years and turned out. It's like when Blink 182 came back. When Blink 182 comes back and does a tour, those aren't alternative fans that showed out, casual alternative fans. It was Blink fans that missed them and missed seeing them perform live that showed up to that concert. So the casual hardcore thing is a cliche.
Slightly, though, because the thing was, I was saying casual wrestling fans. So you can't just get rid of the word wrestling and throw in CM Punk there, because if they're a hardcore CM Punk fan, they can still be a casual wrestling fan. That doesn't affect that argument one bit, because you can be both.
Except for that it does, because we've got this rigid line on casuals and hardcores, and each fan base is unique and different. That's unfair. True. It's an unfair. This is why I called it a cliche. This is why I called it goofy and a trope. It's divisive black and white thinking. There's hardcores and there's casuals and then there's the IWC, and it makes no sense to me. Mercedes Moné was not going to bring over a bunch of people that watched her on The Mandalorian and then went and followed her on X to watch AEW Dynamite or WWE Monday Night Raw. That's unrealistic to think.
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
Okay, there you go. You agree on that one. CM Punk.
I never said
CM Punk did not bring in anybody that wasn't either lapsed or already a CM Punk fan. That doesn't make
Oh,
them a
no,
casual
what
fan.
about
That makes them a
wrestling fans, not
hardcore
CM Punk
fan.
fan.
So now we're just talking about we're dividing wrestling fans by two again, and this is why it's a trope.
No, yeah, you're moving the line. The argument is, did he bring in casual wrestling fans to AEW for the first time? The viewership tells you he did. I mean, on every metric it did. I don't even
Or
understand
did
how
he
this
bring
is an
in
argument.
CM Punk fans?
But
Did he bring in casual wrestling fans, or did he bring in CM Punk fans?
well, you can be a hardcore CM Punk fan and a casual wrestling fan. It's the same thing again.
Another example, like if you have Chance the Rapper do a live performance, independent artist, 7.7 million followers or whatever. If you have him do it on a live show, is he bringing in music fans, casual music fans, casual hip hop fans, or is he bringing in his fan base? Where does his value lie as an artist? And that's CM Punk too. That's why I think the conversation is just too simplistic when it comes to the casual versus hardcore debate. It doesn't.
I mean, you're
to me,
right in that regard.
I think it's unfair. It's not right because there are times in my life that maybe you could label me as a casual fan or a hardcore fan, but also there's different preferences when it comes to wrestling styles, the type of wrestling you like, the type of performer that you're a fan of. All of that is a huge factor. If it was about the hardcores and the casuals, it would be Roman Reigns versus Rock night 2. It's that simple. Because you said, you already said word for word.
That's not true.
You said word for word that the casuals bring in bigger numbers. If that's the case, The Rock brings in more casual fans than Cody Rhodes does.
Which he has done.
He would be in the main event against Roman Reigns. By that logic, simply by that logic.
Not by that logic, because hardcore fans spend more money as well. You have to listen to the hardcore fans, which is what I said earlier about Cage.
Well, how can you have
That's
both
a big factor.
I thought you said that casual fans are the bigger crowd. If that's the case,
they're not the bigger crowd. They spend more money on wrestling because they're more into it than a
casual fans spend more money on than hardcore fans.
No, I just said hardcore fans.
Hardcore fans spend more money. Okay.
That's what I just said.
Hardcore fans spend more money than. Back to my point here. If there is a such thing, then why you earlier in this very show, Ben, we've got it on tape. We've already taken it to the table. You out loud said that casual fans provide the bigger audience. If that were the case, why would you not market to casual fans?
Well, that's what
as opposed to hardcore fans.
They're marketing the night 1 main event on all the major posters, on all the major adverts they're actually doing WWE. So they're doing that, but the night 2 main event is what's the big deal to hardcore fans. And that's what they're doing. Their plan is to bring in the casual fans for night 1 for them to enjoy that and then come back for night 2. Now, I do think WWE in an ideal world wanted Rock on night 2, but the hardcore fans got so annoyed, the Cody crybabies, as The Rock likes to call them, got so annoyed that they were trying to boycott the shows and everything. And WWE were like, well, hey, Cody's selling a lot of merch. The hardcore fans are buying it.
That would have happened boycott-wise, because I am not trying to change.
No, I don't believe it.
There's no way. And so the pressure was there.
They might have
happened.
Cutting Cody throughout just random matches on a show all card long for a few weeks. That might have happened. It could have decreased the quality of their TV because of that. Yeah, but they prioritized off it, and because of that, they've sold a lot more Cody merch. It's a smart move. You still have The Rock drawing in those fans for the main event of night 1. That's what you do have.
But you've got The Rock main event of night 1 in tag match for sure. But this is all about casuals and hardcores, and most casual heavy crowd of the year, probably WrestleMania, right? You have the amount of sponsored tickets and tickets that are allotted and whatnot, right? If we're worried about filling that building, we're not booking towards the casuals, booking towards the hardcore fans to spend that much money. My point is, the reason it's a cliche,
they weren't worried though, because
and that it's a trope. The reason it's a cliche and it's a trope is wrestling fans are a niche audience anyway. So to have a niche inside of a niche, to me, is goofy. That's silly.
No, the niche is
when we look individually at over versus not over, that's unfair too. John Cena was not, finger quotes, over when he's getting booed as a babyface, but he was selling merch, and to a section of the audience, he was great. Would you label them hardcore or casual? I don't know. That's unique to John Cena. I find the conversation as a whole just short-sighted. It doesn't make sense to just break it down into those two categories when we have so many different avenues and different ways to be over.
It's not
the
black and white. You're right
anti-hero
there, but
Stone Cold Steve Austin, different. The NWO as heels were a different animal. Even to this day, the Shield were heels at times, as popular as anybody. There is no absolute when it comes to this. And I think it's unfair to the actual fan base to start dividing between hardcore and casual. That's my main point. Because
I'm not trying to
each
divide.
even individual performer, and not only that, each company, each storyline has its own unique fan base and fan interest. And so to try to just categorize as casual and hardcore, that's why I drew the line. That's why I got upset in the first place. I think it's unfair to compare Mercedes, given the fan base that she has, being of about equal size, how she filled the building by comparison to CM Punk. That's how the segment started at 44-43 on the daily. If you want to go back and look, that's the very first thing that I said.
it is.
So
that is what
let's
you
remember,
said.
which did not make the reel. Let's be clear about that.
No, because that was meant to be a separate reel.
Well,
because in that reel, we're not talking about Mercedes Moné.
Well,
Well, you're moving the goalposts.
No, my goalposts have been in the same place. You're the one sliding around like it's Tecmo Bowl.
I wouldn't be surprised if the net was rubber when I kick a ball and it bounces out.
Yep.
Wow. There is some fair arguments on this. I don't even know where to even begin. I didn't even get a chance to even play my intro. You just went head first. It was amazing. I actually love it. Yeah, I don't even know where to even start. I mean, okay, so it's you both have valid points in terms of the casual fans and the hardcore fans and which ones do they cater first. Me personally, I think Ben hit it on the head. Night one is catered to the casuals. Night two is mainly catered to the hardcore fans, and it's a way to bring in the casuals, and then that's when they can obviously bring the numbers up. Me personally, casuals, I feel like a casual fan is someone that really just focuses on the big four, and then just hangs around with the hardcore people, and obviously fills them in with the storyline and how to actually get into the matches and whatnot. Which ones do they cater for? I feel like the old regime kind of definitely catered to the casual fans more than the hardcore under the old regime, especially in the latter years. It was more to their own detriment. I mean, they look how many times certain people got over just because there was certain money in a certain market. Jinder Mahal, anyone?
Yes.
You know what I mean? So they definitely cater to the casuals more during that time. In this day and age, I do feel like they're trying to ride the line between the two, because like you said, I agree, the hardcore fans are the one that spend the most money, but in terms of the casuals, they in a weird way do bring in the most numbers, especially when it comes to the big four or the big five, if you will. Or even for AEW, when All In comes around, I'm pretty sure that's most of them are casuals there in the venue. You
could say.
I mean, we saw that on the train last year, Chaos, around the tube and stuff. People were trying to fill each other in, explaining who they were and all that. And the one name, what was the one name which we heard a lot of going there?
Was it MJF?
If you say CM Punk, wouldn't it be the hardcore fans explaining who he is?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
No, it was the casuals.
And so if we're going by this logic, though,
and they're like, and it's like, oh, who's he facing? Oh, Samoa Joe. Oh,
if we're going by this logic, would you say that comparing the two fan bases, let's go by exactly the X Twitter numbers: 2.6 for CM Punk, 2.5 million for Mercedes Moné. Which one do you think has the larger percentage of hardcore versus casual fans? Where do you think that bill slides?
I don't know. I mean, there's a few things to look at with that point, because I don't know if I particularly like the comparison of bringing up Twitter numbers to begin with, to be honest.
Which just by comparison, it's easy because they're only 100K apart.
Yeah, but it's true, but also it is factual that on average, women's wrestlers have a higher follower count compared to male wrestlers. That is fact. That is also something you've got to take into consideration when discussing this.
Okay. So
That's a
then
no-brainer.
back to the hardcore casual question. Which percentage-wise? Which one do you think has more hardcore fans? Which one do you think has more casual fans?
I actually think if
Even
you ask
even given that
Twitter,
factor,
I think
even given
Punk.
that-
I think Punk based on Twitter. I'd say Punk.
is more that watch him for wrestling.
Yes.
Right.
Although I don't think, I'm going to be honest, I don't think Mercedes Moné's gotten many more fans from The Mandalorian. In The Mandalorian, he's not some major character, right?
You did
Yeah,
name
there's
another
that
couple.
couple.
There's some. It's a small percentage or whatever. I mean, do you think that a bunch of the
I'd say
UFC?
well under.
Do you think Punk got a
0.2%.
bunch of outside of wrestling by comparison to Mercedes? Then how about that question?
No, and I've not
Rephrase
argued
the
that.
question.
The thing about wrestling in general, and this is why I bring up the age thing so much too, of the likes of LA Knight. The longer you've been in the business, the more casual fans you pick up, because all the casual fans, they usually, not always, but a lot of them have like 6 or 12 months or maybe a couple of years when they're
What
kids,
if you go
when
away
they're
for 7
really
years?
into it and they know those names. Then when they just check, like Chaos said, maybe the big 4, or maybe they just see it come up on their YouTube recommended from time to time. When they see a name they know, like a CM Punk, then it makes sense. And it's the same thing for Randy Orton.
What
for John
happens when
Cena
you just
too.
go
John
away
Cena
for 7
transcended
years?
everything now, but Randy Orton, same thing for him.
What happens when you go away for 7 years? Does that gain you more
That's
fans?
undoubtedly it doesn't make you more famous. No, but it's a factor in terms of people wanting you back. Yes, you were right, and I never tried to argue that point.
Which would tug on the heartstrings of the
hardcore fans, which I
hardcore
never
fans.
disagreed with. That was never
we
the
go.
part I disagreed with.
Well, but it didn't make the reel, did it? Just
Yes,
saying.
it did. Yes, it did. That line's in the reel. That line is in the reel. It is. It is.
Not.
Chaos played it at the start.
It
That's
actually
literally
was.
real.
It actually was.
Yeah.
That exact line was?
Yes.
I didn't think it was. There's
Yes.
another good one that's missing. I had like 2 other good ones. It's a 5-minute conversation.
Yes, and you can't
Don't just
fit
check
all
this out. Check
avoided.
out Daily too.
reels is that you can't fit them in, they're only meant to be 60 seconds. I made it 2 minutes just so I can fit more of your points in. The
Maybe
entire
if I
claim you're
was-
trying to make that you were misclipped, that it was taken out of context, is just false.
Hey,
That
man, if
clip
I had the
only
editing skills,
benefited you.
I'd be winning in the reels I edit too. That's all I'm saying.
I'm sure you would, right? I'm sure if you kept the bit in where you said WWE aren't filling out arenas because of The Rock, because if that was the case, they wouldn't be chanting for Cody. I'm sure if I left that bit in, everybody would have been agreeing with you.
The FTR match, I saw accusations. These are not accusations. This is false accusations.
They would have gone nuts at you. If that line was in there, Clark, they would have disregarded the entire point, which is why it was edited
He's not
out.
filling arenas with the
They
people
were
that
not.
want Cody Rhodes in the main event. That's my point.
No, he's brought people back into wrestling because he's there. They've heard the loud voices who are
And
the
they-
hardcore fans.
and those
chanting for
people
Cody,
don't want
and
to
then-
see Cody succeed. They'd rather see The Rock. That's why they're showing
because
up.
it doesn't work like that, does it? He's brought their eyes back onto it. They've seen what's going on, and they're like, "Yeah, I agree. Cody should be the one to do it." But are they watching because of The Rock? Yes. And you can look at the numbers. Like, look at the numbers. Before this entire thing happened, they were not selling out SmackDown. They hadn't done for months. I think they sold like one SmackDown.
They have like literally their biggest sellout streak of their
They
active
have. And
right
it
now.
started when The Rock, the first week The Rock was advertised was the first sellout.
100%.
And now the number 5, The Rock's been on all of them. He hasn't
Would
been on
you
the Raw.
say it's possible then that some of the hardcore fans that watched The Rock during his prime then became lapsed fans and returned? Would you categorize them as casuals? Because again, it's one big cliche dividing by 2 with the 2.
I said that at the start. I said at the start, right? Casual fans have been hardcore fans usually for a couple of years during their life. Most commonly when they're younger, when they are kids, and then they get back into it when they grow older. That's usually, so they don't get back into it when they're older, but they watch it from time to time. And then something like The Rock showing up draws them back in, and then they get back into it.
So you do agree that it's goofy to just divide by 2 when it comes to professional wressling fan bases with casual?
No, because that's not what I did in the beginning.
Because there's
right?
more nuance. You do agree?
No, it's a spectrum. It's a spectrum.
Disagree?
Right?
Okay, there you go. You do agree.
No, but hey, listen, you can't speak in absolutes. I agree with you, right? But for the sake of a conversation, especially when it's in a 60-second reel or it's a 5-minute thing on a podcast, you can't speak in absolutes because otherwise we turn into Jordan Peterson and spend 50 minutes of a podcast trying to define a word every week. There wouldn't be any podcast.
No, I'm just saying that I think that we're better than the casual versus hardcore from a marketing standpoint. Conversationally speaking, I think we are better than this. I don't think it applies to wrestling, just as I don't think it applies to music or television.
You said at the start you did think it applied to wrestling like it did to any other industry. That was what you said at the start of this podcast.
I did not say that. What I said was that I don't think it does because each fan base is unique of each wrestler, of each show, of each platform. Fan bases are entirely unique. Punk bands have different fan bases than alternative bands. They do. Both buy merch and they do it for different reasons. There's some crossover between the two, but to go between hardcore and casual, or I listen to one album and I listen to one song, doesn't help that much. It doesn't. And it doesn't drive conversation either. And not only that, it was unfair to compare Mercedes Moné to CM Punk for the crowd that she drew in her AEW debut. It's completely unfair. Different time, different scenario, different fan bases.
And it
had nothing to do with casuals and hardcores.
I mean, it's very much is to do with it. The fact is, CM Punk brought in a lot of casual fans to AEW, and guess what? When he went back to WWE, that actually started their meteoric rise as well.
CM Punk fans.
The biggest point here, I can tell you the biggest point here right now. Before The Rock's return, what was WWE's most viewed video on YouTube? It was the CM Punk return. It smashed the record, absolutely obliterated it, right? And I think The Rock only just beat him when he returned. CM Punk, yes, he's a hardcore following. I don't disagree with that for a second, but he brings in a lot of casual wrestling fans, right? And that is, I don't understand how there's an argument for it. Literal data will back that up.
You're still focused on the casual versus hardcore thing. He brings in a lot of CM Punk fans. That's what he does.
Wait, what? Okay, all right.
He does not bring in a bunch of casual fans. He brings in CM Punk fans.
Just being moved at the end. At this point, the flipping goal
because it's a cliche. He does not bring in just casual fans. He brings in.
So basically, you don't want labels. You don't believe in labels. You just feel like it's just his dedicated base.
I feel like it's if we're gonna view people's fan bases, we like a lot of people probably relate to CM Punk for different reasons. There's reasons that they're drawn to CM Punk. It may be wrestling, it may not. Most of the people that are wrestling fans and CM Punk fans, if we had to label, we'd go with finger quotes hardcore, right?
No, we won't.
Casual wise, he's not bringing in UFC fans, comic fans, or straight edge people.
That's not what casual fans are. Casual fans are people who are still fans of wrestling, but they watch it casually, right? That's what they are. A casual wrestling
only know one guy who watches wrestling in a suit, and it's Soul. I don't know where formal wrestling fans we're gonna find them, but casual, like, does that make me a hardcore or a formal fan? It's ridiculous. It's a cliche.
We're gonna get onto tie clips
it's a joke.
In a second.
Like, what am I supposed to be then? Like, I'm sorry, I don't button up every time I put on wrestling. Casual, like, it's ridiculous. Casual, smasual.
I guess we're gonna have to agree to disagree on this one at the end of this, because I feel like we're just going in circles right now. I thought we were almost near the end.
I love it,
and then it just gets punted for a field goal, and it's moving goalposts. I guess. Well, I guess we just have to agree to disagree.
Right through the.
What I'm more intrigued is to hear what everyone in the comments are saying. What do they agree? Do they agree with what Clark is saying? Do they agree with Ben was saying? Or do they agree with my little take? Or it's just we're just talking out our own ass? I have no idea.
I hate us all.
I feel like we're gonna come back to this again at some point. We got to do a part 2 on here. But yeah, I'm afraid I have to adjourn this meeting right now. And we've come to the end of this awesome heated debate. It was great. Definitely this you like I told y'all, if you thought David versus Ignacio was crazy, this is the one that's gonna blow out the water. This is crazy. So again, thank you very much, Ben Allison. Thank you very much, Clark Taylor, for being here. Like I said, make sure you share, subscribe, hit the notification bell for the notifications when we upload a new Ticket to the Table episode or the day when the Daily Show comes on as well. But until then, I have been your host, Chaos. He has been El Jefe. Down below has been Clark Taylor. Until next time, guys. Peace.
Keep it casual.
I know.